You said yes to something today that you genuinely didn't have the time, the energy, or the real desire to do. And somewhere in the middle of agreeing, a small, quiet voice inside you was already screaming a very different answer. If that felt uncomfortably familiar, there's a real psychological pattern behind it, and it genuinely has an actual name. It's often called people-pleasing, and it's a far more specific, well-documented pattern than most people ever realize. It's not really about being too nice or too generous. It's often a learned survival strategy in disguise. Understanding this pattern is usually the very first real step toward finally being able to loosen its grip. Today we're covering this in 3 parts. A quick look at where this pattern comes from, 8 real signs, and what genuinely helps. By the end, you'll likely recognize a pattern you've lived with for years, but maybe never had real language for. Let's start with a quick look at exactly where this specific pattern actually tends to come from. Psychologists have long studied our body's automatic responses to threat. Fight, flight, and freeze are the 3 most well-known. But researchers have identified a real 4th response too, one that gets far less attention: the Fawn Response. Fawning means responding to a threat by appeasing it, pleasing, agreeing, and accommodating, instead of fighting or fleeing. For a child in a chaotic, unpredictable, or conflict-heavy household, fawning can genuinely become the safest available strategy. Keeping everyone calm and happy, at almost any personal cost, can start to feel like the only way to stay safe. Over time, that survival strategy doesn't just disappear once the danger is gone. It often quietly becomes a personality trait. Psychologists sometimes use the term sociotropy to describe an excessive reliance on others' approval for one's own sense of self-worth. As adults, people-pleasers often don't consciously choose to prioritize others. It simply feels like the only truly safe option available. This isn't about being weak-willed or lacking a backbone. It's a nervous system doing exactly what once kept it safe. Let's get into 8 real, recognizable signs of this pattern, starting with the most common and most obvious one. Sign number 1. Real difficulty saying no, even when you're already completely overwhelmed, exhausted, or simply out of time. The word no can feel almost physically uncomfortable to say, even in situations where it's clearly the honest answer. So instead, yes comes out automatically, often before you've even had a real chance to actually think it through. Afterward, there's frequently a quiet wave of regret or resentment that shows up almost immediately after saying yes. This isn't really about being generous. It's often about avoiding the discomfort of disappointing someone at any cost. That's sign 1. Sign number 2 shows up in conversations far more often than most people ever realize. Sign number 2. Apologizing constantly and reflexively, even for things that clearly, genuinely aren't your fault at all. Bumping into a chair, someone else being late, even simply having a need at all can trigger an automatic sorry. The apology often isn't really about the specific situation. It's a small, automatic attempt to keep things smooth and calm. Over time, this habit can start to genuinely shrink how much space someone feels entitled to take up at all. Constant apologizing quietly communicates, to yourself and to others, that your presence is somehow an inconvenience by default. That's sign 2. Sign number 3 is about a weight that isn't actually yours to carry in the first place. Sign number 3, feeling personally, directly responsible for how the other people around you happen to be feeling. If someone nearby seems upset, there's often an immediate, almost automatic urge to fix it, right away, no matter what. This happens even when the other person's mood genuinely has absolutely nothing at all to do with you. Other people's emotions can start to feel like a personal responsibility, almost like an unspoken, invisible job description. In reality, you're only ever truly responsible for your own actions and for your own honest emotional reactions. That's sign 3. Sign number 4 is often quieter, and it shows up specifically in group conversations and discussions. Sign number 4, consistently staying quiet about your real opinion, specifically to avoid any potential conflict or tension. In a group discussion, agreement often comes easily, while a genuinely different opinion tends to stay carefully, quietly unspoken. This isn't the same thing as simply being easygoing. It's often a specific, deliberate strategy for staying safe. Over time, other people may genuinely stop knowing what you actually think, because it's rarely ever spoken out loud. Eventually, you might even start losing track of your own honest opinion yourself, simply from lack of practice expressing it. That's sign 4. Sign number 5 is about how quickly commitments tend to pile up, almost without even noticing. Sign number 5. Consistently overcommitting, saying yes to new requests before ever genuinely stopping to think it through. The calendar fills up quickly, often with things agreed to almost automatically, without much real consideration given beforehand. Eventually, there's barely enough time or energy left over for your own actual priorities and personal needs. This pattern often comes from that exact same core fear, that saying no might genuinely disappoint someone important. Overcommitting can look like genuine generosity from the outside, while quietly running someone's own reserves completely empty inside. That's sign 5. Sign number 6 is closely tied to where a person's real sense of self-worth comes from. Sign number 6. Feeling most genuinely valuable specifically when actively being useful, needed, or helpful to someone else. Being asked for help can feel deeply validating, almost like real proof of being worthwhile or genuinely appreciated. Rest, or simply doing nothing productive for someone else, can start to feel strangely uncomfortable or even undeserved. Self-worth gradually becomes tied almost entirely to output and usefulness, rather than existing simply, unconditionally, on its own. This can make it genuinely difficult to receive help or kindness from others, without feeling some need to repay it. That's sign 6. Sign number 7 is about a specific fear that quietly sits underneath almost all of these patterns. Sign number 7. A real, persistent fear of ever being seen as selfish, difficult, or too demanding by others. Even small, completely reasonable requests can trigger a real wave of guilt before the words are even fully spoken. The word selfish can feel like genuinely one of the worst possible things someone could ever be called. This fear often causes people to consistently underask for what they actually need, just to avoid that specific label. In reality, having needs and clearly expressing them isn't selfish. It's simply a normal, healthy part of being human. That's sign 7. And sign number 8 actually has a real, specific clinical term behind it, worth knowing. Sign number 8 is the Fawn Response itself, the deeper, underlying pattern connecting every single sign we've covered so far. Fawning means the nervous system's automatic instinct, when facing any kind of conflict, is simply to appease it. Rather than fighting back, fleeing, or freezing completely, the fawn response leans directly into pleasing and accommodating instead. This response can activate so quickly and so automatically that it barely even registers as a conscious choice. Recognizing the fawn response by name is often genuinely eye-opening for people who've lived with it for years. And that's all 8 signs. Now let's actually talk about what genuinely helps with a pattern like this one. Recognizing these signs isn't about self-blame at all. It's simply useful information about a pattern worth understanding more clearly. This pattern is genuinely common, well documented by researchers, and, importantly, it's absolutely capable of genuinely changing over time. The first real step is simply noticing the automatic yes before it fully leaves your mouth in the actual moment. That tiny pause, even just a few seconds long, creates real room for an actual, deliberate choice instead. The second step is practicing smaller, lower-stakes boundaries first, before ever attempting anything that feels bigger or riskier. A small "let me think about it" can genuinely become a powerful, practical tool used consistently over time. The third step is deliberately tolerating someone else's brief disappointment, without immediately rushing in to fix or repair it. Disappointment in someone else isn't automatically dangerous at all. It's simply a normal, temporary human emotion, like any other. The fourth step is deliberately practicing stating an honest opinion, even in a small, relatively low-stakes group setting. Each time this happens without anything catastrophic actually occurring, that becomes genuine new evidence for an anxious nervous system. The fifth step is therapy, especially trauma-informed therapy, which has strong, real research support behind the fawn response specifically. The sixth step is simple patience. This pattern likely took years to fully form, and it changes gradually, not overnight. None of this requires becoming a cold, uncaring, or unkind person. It means learning genuine kindness with real limits attached. Genuine kindness, freely offered, and compulsive people-pleasing, born from fear, can look remarkably similar from the outside, but feel completely different. The real, meaningful goal isn't to stop caring about other people. It's making sure that care includes yourself too. So here's a quick recap. People-pleasing often develops as a genuine survival strategy, usually starting very early in life. It shows up as difficulty saying no, constant apologizing, suppressed opinions, overcommitting, and several other closely related signs. Underneath all of it sits the Fawn response, appeasing conflict instead of fighting it, fleeing it, or freezing completely. None of these signs make someone weak, foolish, or somehow lesser. They reflect a nervous system that once needed this exact strategy to survive. And that same nervous system can genuinely learn a new strategy with real-time, honest awareness, and consistent practice. If several of these signs felt uncomfortably familiar, that's genuinely worth sitting with gently, rather than judging yourself harshly over it. Consider quietly sharing this video with someone who might recognize a piece of themselves somewhere inside it too. If this helped you understand yourself a little better, subscribe for more honest psychology breakdowns just like this one.